Good afternoon. Welcome back to OG Dweeb. I downloaded the new gaming module released at San Diego Comic-Con by Lionforge called Rolled and Told issue number 0. It's a free download. I got it on Amazon for Kindle, and I took a look at it. And for all the buzz that's going on around it and presumptions, this is actually a pretty decent little module that would be great for new players. It's geared towards characters levels 1 through 4. And I would highly recommend running characters with high intelligence or high dexterity. This is basically an American Ninja Warrior in a D&D setting. I found it to be actually a pretty good setup. It's very detailed. It would be very easy for a newer dungeon master to run. There's flavor text, and then there's very detailed descriptions of each. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there are some traps and puzzles. They're very detailed. If you have higher level players that would like to run it, there are also some instructions to perhaps make the run a little more difficult, such as timing constraints, for example. This module is intended to be run in 2 hours or less. The character needs to make it out in 2 hours or less. The basic premise is that there's a bar run by a couple of old school adventurers, and to make a little extra coin, they started this. It's called Thunderlock Barcrawl. And in order to even run the obstacle course here, you have to pay a funeral fee up front in case, you don't make it. And patrons can bet on who they think is going to make it out or not. When we open to the first page, the opening is in a comic style. And it goes on to, just kind of set up the premise. The only nitpick I have here is that the font on the legend is a little difficult for me personally to read, but, I've said before, I have eyesight issues, so it probably won't be a problem for anyone else. But I zoomed in on it, was able to make it out. The little map is in muted greens and browns. The book is done in a modern comic art style that you've probably come to know. There's a lot of bright colors and things. I think the art is good. But the Thunderlock Barcrawl is a test of feats and strength. The requirements when we get to, past the flavor comic, you must have a player handbook, a monstrous manual, and a dungeon master's guide to make the most of the module, which would definitely make sense. You need to be familiar with at least the player's handbook. If you're DMing, probably the dungeon master's guide you will definitely want to at least browse it. Again, it's geared towards characters levels 1 through 4. You can increase the difficulty check and incorporate some timing mechanics, like say use a 2-minute sand timer, for example, to make it a little more difficult for higher level players. The premise is that any treasure that your characters find, you get to keep if you make it out of the dungeon in time, and you get free drinks for the rest of the night. It's full of traps and puzzles, as I said. Again, I would recommend this for characters with high dexterity, high intelligence rolls. The adventure itself is 22 pages. There's, I believe, 6 different rooms that your characters have to make it through with multiple traps, puzzles, etc. Just trials in general. Some people were expecting it to have some sort of political connotations. I didn't find such a thing. It's very straightforward, well laid out. Like I say, very detailed. It'd be very easy for a DM to run, even an inexperienced DM. There are 4 pre-rolled characters in the back of the book, or you can roll your own. The pre-rolled characters are pretty standard. They fit the adventure well, in my opinion. And at the very back of the book, there are some different ads, nothing I'm familiar with. And there's a nice little commentary written by E.L. Thomas concerning mimics. Anybody who's played D&D for any length of time is familiar with the good old mimic. Everywhere you turn, that chair right there, that could be a mimic. That piano bench, that could be a mimic. That treasure chest you're about to open, that could be a mimic too. And he just gives some commentary about the good old mimic and maybe some ways of introducing the mimic into more modern campaigns with perhaps different stats or making them more alive to the players. So I thought that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. But there are no political connotations here. It's very straightforward. I wouldn't mind running this with someone. Maybe if I can get Old Man OG to get involved with the campaign I'm currently working on, maybe I'll run him this next. Like I say, straightforward, easy to DM. Challenging for players, definitely, especially new players. But yeah, I would recommend it. It's free. Just download it, take a look, see what you think. But I find it to be, I think it's kind of a good idea. Like I say, American Ninja Warrior meets D&D. I enjoyed it. And like I say, I'd be willing to run it. I'll talk to you guys later.